We've been working together now for almost a year, which is kind of scary. What did the first 3 months look like?
Um, Originally, the goal was to build out an offering that we could sell to clients, and I think we realized pretty quick with your help that to do that we had to kind of learn and experience social media ourselves. So really, the first 3 months was developing the strategy, getting internal buy-in, identifying who within the company are the offline influencers, so that we could figure out how to really impact the online influencers.
Okay, and you guys are about 100 or what's the size of Incept currently?
We're just over 200 now.
Oh, just over 200. Okay, so quite a bit of growth this past year.
Yeah,
Um,
but you know,
so once we kind of went through the strategy phase, we determined, it's going to be a collaborative blog. We're going to look at a Facebook page for internal communications. There were some strategies in place for not only corporate Twitter but also individual Twitter, as well as training. Then we started kind of to roll this out throughout the organization. So, what did you feel was the main advantage in terms of how social business strategies helped you to kind of implement the actionable strategy that we've developed?
I think the probably the biggest lesson we learned compared to what we expected going in and what we see traditionally as the view is that you can just get in and start doing it. So really, by taking the time to develop a strategy, by getting buy-in in the company, by actually dealing with a lot of the people's concerns, which several of them were valid, kind of by solving those before we just jumped in, we really had buy-in. So as people started adopting, it felt like that progression happened really quick, just because we had gotten most of the stuff out of the way. We knew we wanted to use it as an internal tool. We wanted to use it to recruit and retain employees. So by having real defined goals and pretty good measurements that I think have improved since, we really were able to report the organization why we were doing what we were doing and the impact it was having.
Okay. So as we've kind of moved forward with the status calls, with the training programs, the on-site visits, and we've brought more people onto this human business team. What have been some of the biggest challenges, and what have been some of the biggest successes?
The challenges probably are the ones that everybody's running into. How do you monetize, or how do you define the value in the work that you're doing? We saw good engagement. We measured that. We saw applications increase, for example, off the Facebook page, and we could measure that. We had a real hard time quantifying the value, and we chalked that up, at least for the first several months, to, this is really product development cost. We probably aren't going to have an immediate ROI. What we are starting to see now, though, is that we're actually deals closed with clients who have followed just our internal communication on Facebook, but see how we communicate as an organization, and that speeds up the process in a lot of cases. We're also seeing a really significant impact in terms of turnover reduction that we're not sure is 100% based on social media, but certainly has a part to do with it. The other challenges are just the fears. I think everybody's concerned. What if your employee says something bad, or what if there's a series of negative comments? And we've kind of looked at that as that's not really a social media problem. That's a management problem.
Okay.
So we've really addressed it that way.
Okay. And then out of the
And then what was the second part? I think there were
what
challenges and something else
what were the
that I
biggest
skipped.
successes there that you think we've seen so far this year?
What's that?
What were the biggest successes that you think we've seen so far this year?
Yeah. The biggest successes, I think, is just the overall adoption rate for employees who are coming into the organization now. It's second nature to them. They actually have an introduction in training class. They really look at it as a communication tool. So, for example, we just had our holiday party this weekend, and if you were to go out and look at the Incept Facebook page, there's probably 20 or 30 individual conversations where people are saying either I'm proud to work at Incept, or what a great company to work for, things that we certainly didn't encourage overtly, but also knowing that we have clients on that page and they see an overwhelming response to our employees talking about cultural differences and the way the company gives back, and really some things that we're doing offline. We're just really proud of what we've done and the way they've adapted to it.
Okay, very cool. And then out of the human business team, the individuals who were kind of picked as the beta group, and then the ones we've added over the course of the year, in terms of what you know about social media, are you satisfied with the level of training, with where you think they are in terms of their understanding, or what's kind of your take on the way the team's working out?
I think the most significant thing was probably the thing we underestimated the most at the beginning, and it was the personality type assessments that went into how the team was chosen. It's something as in the call center world we've done forever, but hadn't really considered the fact that it would be that significant. So the people who are on the team are people who naturally enjoy having the type of communication that they have. So really the only thing then is we have to figure out how to give them the information. I think without that step, we would have been fighting against people's general strengths or against their best interests. And the thing that we learned, and certainly as we go forward, the thing that we're implementing the most is people who naturally are accustomed to multitasking, who are good at starting conversations and having conversations. So those are really things that I think we probably underestimated at the beginning, but it's been huge. The team now has developed to a point, we just went to a social media networking session yesterday, and they're able to stand on their own. They're able to meet with, authors and kind of celebrities within the social media world. And we feel like instead of being educated, we're able to check mark, okay, we know that, we've got a pretty good handle on this stuff. And that goes from, the people managing the team down to the individuals who are on the team themselves.
Okay, great stuff. Do you have anything else to add kind of about the last year that we've gone through with social business strategies and Incept?
I think probably the biggest thing is just the understanding that as soon as you feel like you've got something, there's just something else that's coming. For us, the most important part is to make sure that we never feel like we've gotten it or that we're done. There's a new tool that's coming out. There's a new way to report on it. There's a new way to process engagement. So we really look at it as an evolving process as opposed to something that you can just start and then stop. So we're not exactly sure what 2011 looks like in its entirety, but we know, although we feel happy about the year we've put together, that probably just gets us into the conversation, doesn't really end or give us the ability to pat ourselves on the back.
Okay, very, very realistic outlook. Well, Sam Falletta, president of Incept, thank you very much for taking time to talk to me today. And I'm Nate Riggs with NateRiggs.com.
No problem.